The Galaxy S24 lineup is going to kickstart 2024 and be the first globally available flagship Android phone of the year. So here's every leak, rumour and tidbit that you need to know. The leaks and rumours have been as heavy as ever for the S24 series this year, and now thanks to Samsung, we know we don't have to wait very long to see the final product, because on the 17th of January, Samsung have announced the Unpacked event happening in San Jose in California. And this is a bit earlier than we've seen it in the past couple of years, but the most interesting thing from that Unpacked announcement from Samsung was the introduction of Galaxy AI. We're not even exactly sure what Galaxy AI is just yet, but now we know we are only a few weeks away from that Unpacked event. Let's have a look at some of the leaks and rumours surrounding the Galaxy S24, the S24 Plus, and the S24 Ultra. First of all, we are pretty certain that we'll get the base Galaxy S24, the S24 Plus, and the S24 Ultra. And thanks to some early hands-on images, we know exactly what these phones will look like, and we even know the colours that are going to come. And let's have a look at the S24 Ultra. The colours being leaked for this one are titanium black, titanium grey, titanium violet, and titanium yellow. And out of all the colours that have leaked, that titanium grey looks so classy and so clean, so by far my favourite colour. But with titanium being in the front of the colours of these names, it probably indicates that that is going to be the lightweight metal that is used somewhere on the Galaxy S24 Ultra. And it'll be the first time that we've ever seen titanium used on a Galaxy Ultra device. And titanium was also used on that iPhone 15 Pro and 15 Pro Max. And one of the biggest benefits of using titanium on a phone is that it just makes it a little bit more lightweight. So maybe this year the S24 Ultra will just be a little bit lighter than it has in the previous couple of years. Those colour options are for the S24 Ultra specifically though, and when you get to the S24 and the S24 Plus, we remove the titanium name from the colours and they change ever so slightly. So instead we get onyx black, marble grey, cobalt violet, and amber yellow. So we have the colours of the entire S24 lineup this year, and we're not entirely sure yet whether that titanium will specifically just be used for the S24 Ultra, or whether titanium is going to make its way into the S24 and the S24 Plus. When we talk about the S24 lineup this year, you can never be 100% certain what it'll look like until it's actually released by Samsung, but we do have a good idea what the S24 Ultra will look like, courtesy of OnLeaks, because back in September, we saw the first renders of the S24, and the S24 Ultra appears to be identical to the design used in the last couple of years, and Samsung looked to be sticking with that 4-camera setup on the S24 Ultra, as they had done with the S23 Ultra. However, when you have a look at the renders from the front, this is where the big change is, because that display looks to be completely flat. It's a bit difficult to tell how flat the display might be from the renders. Luckily though, previously shared dummy units supposedly show a real S24 Ultra in the hand that looks very closely resembling those renders. These units show a particularly flat display with almost zero curve at all, but it is worth noting that these leaked images came from an unknown source, so this bit of information is worth probably taking with a pinch of salt. A small change though is that the S24 Ultra could change its dimensions just ever so slightly, so this year it could be a little bit shorter but a little bit wider than last year's S23 Ultra. The proposed measurements put the S24 Ultra at 162.3 by 79 by 8.7mm, and because of the titanium frame, it's meant to be 1 gram lighter than last year as well. A few leaked photos show the S23 Ultra and the S24 Ultra side by side, and it looks like a slightly different housing for the speaker, thicker buttons, and a flatter display for the base of the S Pen. So according to those leaks and rumours, there might not be a huge change in the design of the S24 Ultra this year, but what about the S24 and the S24 Plus? Well, it doesn't look like there's going to be a huge change here either for its design, because renders of that S24 show that it will likely have a flatter, more polished edge, but camera design, flat display, and the hole punch cutout are all going to be pretty much identical to last year's S23 and S23 Plus. Other photos of supposed dummy units of the S24 have been leaked as well, and you could be mistaken for thinking that these are an iPhone 14 Pro. You can see the flatter, more sharp edges on these dummy units, and you know what? I actually think they look really good this year, because I'm a big fan of the design of the iPhone 14 Pros, but maybe not so much of that glossy side rail. Let's talk about the rumours for the specs that we've heard on the S24 and the S24 Ultra this year, and because Samsung released their phones so early in the year, they become some of the biggest selling Android flagships of that year, and the biggest talking point is always what chipset are Samsung going to put into their S24 and their S24 Ultra lineup. Last year, Samsung released all phones globally with the same chipset, the Snapdragon 8 Gen 2. But previously, we had the Snapdragon and Exynos models mashed up depending where you lived in the world, and it could be a mashup again this year, with Samsung potentially giving the base 24 Exynos globally and the Plus and the Ultra getting the Snapdragon globally. But then another rumor says that the S24 and the S24 Plus would all have Exynos globally except for the US, with the only exception being the S24 Ultra that would get Snapdragon globally. So we're a little bit here and there on what processors we might actually see from Samsung in the S24 lineup, but we will find out on January 17th. But the one thing that will always stay the same on the S24 lineup is going to be what RAM and what storage each of these models get. And it looks like the S24 regular will come in 8GB RAM and 128GB base storage, and also another 8GB RAM version with 256GB of storage. And then the S24 Plus will get a bit of a bump in 12GB of RAM with 256GB of base storage and a 512GB option. And when it comes to the S24 Ultra, the rumors are 12GB of RAM with 256GB of base storage, a 512 option and a 1TB option as well. Evan Blass shared this on Twitter and it looks pretty official, showing a few other features that we're likely to see on the S24 lineup, such as a 5000 mAh battery on the Ultra, a 4000 mAh on the S24 and a 4900 on the S24 Plus. One of the other big standouts that I noticed in that was that we could be getting a 2600 peak nit brightness display, which would make it the brightest display ever sold on a flagship Android device. The big spec that we look for on a Galaxy Ultra phone every year is the camera, and this year it looks like that it's going to be a bit of an incremental upgrade to the camera system on the Galaxy S24 Ultra. The rumors suggest that we will still see a 200 megapixel sensor on the S24 Ultra, but it looks like if upgrades are coming, then they're going to be more feature-based rather than hardware-based. According to rumors though, one of those features that could be introduced to the Galaxy S24 Ultra is ISOCELL Zoom Anyplace. This was announced by Samsung in October, and this feature lets you capture close-up and full-size video simultaneously in 4K, and it uses AI to track subjects. And I think this looks so good, and it's made specifically for 200 megapixel sensors. So this isn't confirmed, but it's something that could be coming to the S24 Ultra. As well as this, on that S24 Ultra, Ice Universe has mentioned that the S24 Ultra will have a better night mode and could get the ability to record in 4K at 120 frames per second, and it also allows seamless zoom in at 4K 60 frames per second. And these are the rumored cameras that are going to be on the S24 Ultra. So a 200 megapixel main camera, a 12 megapixel ultra wide, 50 megapixel 5x telephoto camera, a 10 megapixel 3x telephoto camera, and a 12 megapixel front camera. Like every single tech company though, AI is a huge focus, and for Samsung with the S24 it's no different, and especially since they announced their Unpacked event with Galaxy AI coming. Rumors have suggested as well that Samsung will add their own version of Magic Editor from Pixel phones to the S24 lineup, and the source of this leak suggests, though, that to be able to use these features, what you need is an internet connection and then access to a Samsung account as well. The expectation of what Samsung could be calling generative edit is that you could be able to move or remove objects, and hopefully this works as well as the Magic Editor on those Google Pixel phones. But we're not stopping there with the AI feature that Samsung could possibly be adding to this new phone, because the rumor suggests that there's going to be a live translate feature in the S24 lineup that is built right into the phone app. According to the rumors, this live translate feature would happen in real time, and only the person receiving the call would need an S24 device to actually have this work. And it's not known yet what languages are going to be supported when this is released, or whether it comes as a day one feature, but according to the rumors, again, English, Spanish, with Korean and Japanese coming in a future update. Another feature that is being talked about in the rumors is something called nightography zoom. This is set to improve the camera's performance in low light conditions, potentially giving users the ability to take clear and detailed photos in even the darkest settings. And that would be a really cool feature if that ends up coming to the S24 lineup this year. The question is though, do we know exactly how much the S24 lineup will cost this year? And there's been leaks and rumors about this for months. But now a French language document detailing rules for a Galaxy S24 competition might have just given us all the prices that we need to know. The leaked document notes that one smartphone, which presumably is the base S24, is valued at €899, and then next the assumption is that the one below it, the S24 Plus, will be priced at €1,169, and then speculation again, but the S24 Ultra starting at €1,469. If these prices are accurate, then it could mean that the S24 Ultra is about €70 more expensive than last year's S23 Ultra, but The good news is if you're getting that S24 or S24 Plus, then potentially you could be looking at a €50 saving over the S23 and the S23 Plus from last year. These prices are most likely to get refined before the launch of the S24 this year, but it does give you a good idea of how much you might have to fork out to get your hands on one of these phones. But if you like to pre-order your phone, then these are the bonuses that you might get with this S24. You could end up getting double storage for the pre-order period, which is something that Samsung did for the Z Flip 5 and the Z Fold 5 last year, and potentially discounts on Galaxy Buds or Galaxy Watches if you get all this pre-ordered before the release of the S24. Talking of pre-ordering, the reservations for the Galaxy S24 are now open, so check the link in the description below and you can get yours reserved ahead of launch. And that is everything that we know about the Galaxy S24, the S24 Plus, and the S24 Ultra ahead of its announcement at Unpacked on January 17th. But is there something that you were hoping for that would be in the S24 lineup that no one has spoken about yet? Because Samsung could surprise us, because remember, everything that we've mentioned in this video, it just leaks and rumours, and none of it is official until Samsung actually say it's real. But if you enjoyed the video, why not subscribe to the channel before you head off? And if you do that, we will see you later.